Can we find happiness and get paid for it? That's what we're going to talk about today. Hi, this is Jill from the Northwoods talking about small steps that you can take every day to make your life better. So today we're going to talk something that sits kind of right at the heart of purpose. What are you meant to do with your life? And can you be happy at the same time? And even better yet, can you get paid for that thing at the very same time? And we've all felt that tug that I am good at some things, but I can't make money at it. Or I make money at other things, but I don't love it. And it makes us uneasy. We don't feel like we're quite in the right place. But there's a Japanese word out there, and maybe you heard it before, maybe you didn't, called Ikigai. And what Ikigai is, it's a combination of two Japanese words, Iki meaning life and Gai meaning worth or value. And together, it's about living your life in a way that is worthwhile. So you wake up in the morning and you're excited. Not only are you excited, but you're doing great things for other people. And the bonus part is you're getting paid for it too, or rewarded for it in some ways. So Ikigai kind of comes out into 4 different parts. Doing what you love, doing what you're good at, doing what the world needs, and then doing what you can be rewarded for. And in those circles, when they meet, that's that Ikigai concept. And so here's the truth of it. You don't always find that in a single flash of inspiration. It's found in typically slow ways by paying attention, experimenting with life, and taking one small step at a time. When I was young, I wanted to be an astronomer. I loved it. I spent my nights in the Northwoods staring up at the sky. All I ever dreamed about was being an astronomer. So my first 2 years in college, I was in honors astronomy. I worked on telescopes and all sorts of things until one day, a part-time, short-term position opened up at the university and 180 PhDs applied for it. And I thought, oh no, there are no jobs. There's no jobs in this industry. And I thought, there's no way I can make a living at this. And then I thought about meteorology. And then I thought, well, I love the weather. I'm really, interested in it. But I didn't want to be on TV and I didn't want to sit in a weather station in the middle of a field somewhere. I didn't know what you could do as a meteorologist. And then I thought, okay, so I love the thing. I don't love the job. And then I went to IT. So there was a pattern through all of this. And understanding, complex things and then sort of boiling them down and explaining to other people, I started looking at the threads in my life. And I love science and technology and explaining things to people. And can I find something that's there? And that's where my quiet, not so quiet, maybe my very vocal hidden Ikigai was. I thought it was telescopes. I thought it was weather stations, but instead it wasn't. It was connecting people to those things. And that's what kind of the spark is, when you suddenly see something clear for the first time. Not going to explain the whole path, but that's what led me to healthcare IT. I get to hang out with scientists. I talk to a ton of scientists. I help researchers do a better job. And it helps people literally get cured from diseases that makes their lives worse. And that fills my life with purpose. And so that's kind of how I got there. But there's a book out there, and I wanted to talk about it. And it's by Tim Tamashiro, and it's called How to Ikigai. And this book is what kind of changed everything for me, because I realized the pattern I had to do in order to find the thing I love, the thing I'm good at, the thing that the world needs, and a place where I can get rewarded for it. Tim does an interesting job of this book because he talks about 2 different aspects. He talks about the full Ikigai, which is meaning you're going to go full-blown into the thing you want, in those 4 places, or the half Ikigai. And that half Ikigai really spoke to me because, first of all, not many of us can just quit whatever it is we're doing and then go find the thing that we love and that we're good at, because we can't afford to live like that. I already had a job and I thought, how can I do something I really love? So I was already in IT. I was working for that very, very tough company. And it technically was in health IT, but I didn't love it. I didn't love that job and I didn't love the place, even though, like I said, it did good things for me. And I thought, for the next thing I want to do, I want to find the thing I love. I want to find something where I feel a real home at it in. And for me, when he talked about the half Ikigai, I thought, this is it. This is where I could go. It's enough of a start for you to just figure out, first of all, what you love and what you're good at. And you can check those things out. To find what you love, what are some common threads you've had your whole life? Like I started reflecting on common threads. And I started looking at what I really loved doing. One of my favorite days at that really hard company was new hire day because I got to do training. And I thought, what's funny? One day out of the month is my favorite day of the month in this company. I need to be a trainer. I need to talk to people and help people with technology. It is my absolute favorite thing. Then when you start looking at it, you can start these tiny kind of experiments. Then I started thinking about, well, Jill, what are you good at? Clearly writing was not my thing. And I could strike off things that were not my thing. And you start to look at, where do people ask you for help? Where do people come to you and say, hey, could you help me out with this thing? And when you start realizing that the thing you love, which is technology and helping people learn technology, and then that's when people come to you. I got asked to do training at this company and was told by the guy who led the training organization that I had the highest statistics for satisfaction in training, despite the fact that my topic was really boring and dull. And so that all of a sudden that kind of came together. I had the half Ikigai. So what happens though if you're looking back and let's say, for example, you love cooking or something like that, and you might want to maybe start volunteering, maybe work part-time, maybe start mentoring or doing something that gets you in a small direction. I had a friend of mine who worked at that hard company, and she always dreamed of being a chef. And she ended up leaving that company, which was hard because, tech pays all right. You can pay the bills in tech. And ended up going into being a chef, and she hated it because there is a difference between cooking and being a chef, and she didn't know. So now she kind of put her whole income and her whole family's income on the line and eventually just went back to tech because she really felt like being a chef was taking the thing she loved and turned it into a task that it didn't enjoy. And according to this book, you could go the full Ikigai, but, like I said, it's expensive. You're kind of taking a risk out there because maybe the thing you think you love, you don't love. And so that's what really struck me in the book. I always think about her when I think about the half Ikigai. Those little experiments begin to connect the dots over time, and you might see how the world needs you to do this particular thing. And then eventually, like I said, once you know what you love and what you're good at, then that's when you start to figure out, how can I get paid for it? Is this a way that I could actually do this day in and day out? Not even so much so you can get paid for it, although that's fantastic because who doesn't want to get paid for the thing that they love? What's that quote? That if you do something you love, you never work a day in your life. But because you're enjoying your life, you wake up with a sense of purpose and you go to bed thinking, yay, this is the thing I'm at. But I think, like I said, you just don't naturally start at the getting paid part. That second part of the Ikigai comes naturally over time. So every journey, towards this, you're going to run into fear. What if I fail? What if people laugh at me? Sometimes people's families are against it. Or what if I chase my dream and it ruins the thing that I actually love? And those are real fears. I felt them too. When I first moved into IT, I loved the technology, but I hated that it made computers, something that I really enjoyed, into work. I was working 100 hours a week, and so it made me hate the thing I loved. But do I give that up? And so instead, for me, I didn't give it up. Even though I was exhausted, my joy for computers disappeared for a while. And I learned that I had to sort of tilt it. Let's say I had to sort of align what it was. So I stayed in IT, but I found a way to be in IT where I actually loved it. Like I said, then I went into research IT. I got to hang around with scientists. I got to talk to people all around the world about medicine. I got to meet the guy who wrote The Emperor of All Maladies at a conference. I mean, I really enjoyed what I did. And then I just sort of tilted and angled it. And I still do that thing today. It's very similar to what I did at that hard company, but instead it just sort of nudged it this way. And now it's my passion. And so it's about alignment. When you find the thing that you love, the thing that you're good at, the thing that the world is lined up for you to do and gives you energy and passion and excitement about your job instead of draining it, that's the whole idea behind it. So it may not be changing everything. It may just be nudging in the right path for it. And so, like I said, you start looking for clues. You look backwards. What did you love as a kid before you were told to be practical? What did you really enjoy? Can you dig the essence of it out? Like I would say, I like looking at stars, but that's different, because I liked the science of looking at stars, not just because they were beautiful. If I had told you, I just love how beautiful stars are, maybe I was going to be an artist, that kind of thing. But I realized early on when I was little, my dad worked for the Air Force and he was getting into the place where computers were starting to become a big deal about it. I ended up getting books out of the library about computers and then teaching him how to be better at computers. And all of a sudden I'm like, this is cool. Yeah, I get to show my dad, who's much older than I am and much more experienced in so many ways, but that tiny act explains something to me about who I was. And it turned out to be a lifelong theme. So ask yourself, what topics or activities make you lose track of time, where suddenly you're so engulfed in it, you hours go by and you're so in love with whatever it is. What do people ask you for help with? What do you feel proud at the end of the day? I got to do this thing. These are those breadcrumbs that are going to lead you back towards your half Ikigai. And then Carol Dweck, she's a psychologist who writes about motivation, and she calls something a growth mindset, the belief that we can change, learn, and adapt. And the key to that mindset is the key to finding your Ikigai. You don't have to know the final destination. You just have to be willing to explore in the right directions and start with small steps, take a class, offer to help people, volunteer for the thing that you're supposed to do, start a side hobby, a side hustle, something you do on the weekends or the evenings. You're not going to reinvent your life overnight. You're going to start iterating your life, doing something over and over, like software updates, one version at a time. And when you start doing that, you're going to get better at it. You're going to learn a lot more about it. And you're going to be able to start helping people in a really brand new way. And then at some point, you may get paid to do that thing. So, when I started doing podcasting and, I didn't know what I was doing. I just loved sharing information that I learned. And now hundreds of episodes later, I realize podcasting fits in that same pattern. Curiosity, teaching, helping others grow. My Ikigai has now evolved, and it just didn't come to me fully formed. And I think that's kind of the problem, right? I think people expect like they're going to go out of college. They're going to suddenly discover the thing that they're magical at, that they love doing, and they're going to get paid lots of money at it and instantaneously have that kind of success. And it's just not going to happen. So Tim Tamashiro explains to make time, literal time, to explore this. Not everyone can take a full year off to go find yourselves or carve out moments of, sections of life where you go find your Ikigai. But we can take key moments out of our lives, weekends, nights, going on retreats alone, spending some time thinking about this, spending some time learning about this, and then work on it, small steps. If you get a chance to do a retreat, this podcast episode isn't about retreats, but if you do, silence has a way of surfacing out all the things in your life out of, that you get stuck in daily routine. And now you can start hearing the whispers of what matters the most to you. And I think that that's kind of important to get away, to get some quiet time. As I mentioned before, I went on an archaeological dig for a summer, and I got away from everyone and everything that I knew in my life here in the North Woods. And that gave me a ton of perspective about what I wanted to do with my life, about the people I wanted to hang out with. I stopped a bunch of bad habits. I started a bunch of new habits that were good for me. And so that's the idea, is start noticing what draws your attention and study it, explore it, read more about it, watch videos, ask questions, find someone who's doing that exact thing and go talk to them. Treat your Ikigai like a research project, because that's exactly what it is. If you love nature, go volunteer at a conservation group. If you love cooking, help a community kitchen. If you love teaching, offer to mentor other people. I mentioned that I used to work at study hall in a local high school and help people out with their homework. That was a lot of fun. You don't have to leap in order to learn. You don't have to drop everything in order to lean towards something that gives you energy, and then start leaning away from those things that drains your energy. The find in this whole Ikigai piece of it is you want to balance joy and reward. You want to connect your joy with something that offers value in this world, value to other people, and hopefully, like I said, reward to yourself eventually if you can make it work that way. What is it that the world needs and that will reward you? It may be money, but it may also be gratitude, connection, service, a sense of community. It could be something else as well. Not every Ikigai is going to be a career. Some callings will stay hobbies, and that's okay. A friend of mine worked in IT for decades at that hard company again, and used his savings to start a tree pruning service. And he is now one of the best in this entire area. He took down a tree in my backyard that was had a disease, and it was amazing. He was amazing. And I thought it's really good for him that he took his time at this company, which was not his Ikigai, and formed it into something that was. And now he went from, like I said, tech to doing something he wanted to do, and he's just great at it. So again, Ikigai is not about status, it's about fit. It's about when your inner life and your outer work are aligned together and the world feels lighter, it feels more rewarding, and you go to bed at night feeling like you've done something good. So I'm going to ask you here to, think about these 4 questions. What do you love doing so much that you just want to do it all the time? What do other people say that you're good at or come to you for help with? And what does the world around you seem to need more of? And what does the world around you seem to need more of? Boy, the world has a lot of needs. You're going to find one of those. And then the last question, which may come a little bit differently or a little bit later, how might I be rewarded for doing that? Maybe financially, maybe emotionally, maybe spiritually. But, ask that question. But you got to find the first 2 first. So that's the idea. Write those down. Look for overlaps in your life and then start there at your starting point. And maybe you will get to a place where your starting point didn't end up being the right answer. That's fine. Now we can look again. It's not too late. Ikigai is not a destination. It's a practice that keeps you growing year after year. And I think that's why my life has gone so much better for me, is because now I know what it means to feel alive. Am I rich? No. Am I, vastly beautiful Hollywood star? No, I never wanted those things because that was never my Ikigai. This is what's value to you, your life. And it doesn't mean that your life's going to be perfect, but it is going to mean that your life is going to be valuable, something that makes you feel alive. And some days, you feel like you're climbing the mountains, and the other days you need to sit on a couch. Both those days count, because both those days are part about living your life with intention. So I found my Ikigai, like I said, in helping other people understand primarily technology, but it may be different for you. It's going to look very different for you. But that's what it is that when you start getting there and when you start moving towards this, your life will feel lighter, more honest, and you will be more you. Not in a you be you boo-boo sort of way, but in a you that you're actually good at the thing, you love the thing, the world needs this thing, and maybe you're going to get rewarded out of it. So take this first step and follow your curiosity and listen to your life and let your Ikigai find you in return. All right, everyone, thanks so much. Appreciate you watching, listening, however you're getting there. Put comments in the chat channel. Say hi to me, even if it's not about the topic. And if you have anything else to say that you want more private, you can email me at jill@startwithsmallsteps.com. Thanks so much. Have a great day.